What's up, guys? EDA Talk Sports here, back with another video, and this time we're covering some breaking news from the NBA. If you know me, I love my basketball, and I'm so happy to bring you this news. Karl-Anthony Towns has joined the New York Knicks in exchange for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick via Detroit. It's massive news, massive implications, and we're going to be getting into it all. Where do we start? I mean, Cat going to New York is a massive move. A bit of a disruption to the Nova boys, Nova Knicks, with Dante moving away. And I think that's going to have a bigger impact than we actually thought, to be honest with you. So you focus on this deal, you're looking at Cat coming from the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves had a pretty good playoffs. I don't think Cat had the best playoffs, if I'm being honest with you. He had a couple bright spark performances, but the rest of it, he was looking, in my opinion, less than he should be. For me, in terms of stature and status, he should be, 1A and 1B with Anthony Edwards. And clearly he's not. He was clearly a more experienced player, but a less dominant player. He doesn't have that, and I'm sorry to use it because it's been used against Cap previously, but he doesn't have that alpha mentality. And so coming into a team like the Knicks, that's going to have to come out of you, or there's going to be a flop of a trade. He has the talent, that's undeniable. He has the work ethic, I believe, from what he said about the amount of shots he puts up on a daily basis. But does he have the heart? I hate to question it because he's shown it at times, but there's other times where it's been void. I think he needs to show his quality. He definitely needs to be a scorer for the Knicks. Not only, the punch that we're going to get from Jalen Brunson, but he has to be that number two. He needs to be that alternative. He needs to be that real big. Considering that the Knicks have lost Randall and Isaiah Hartenstein this offseason and gotten back Cat in exchange, I think, again, he's going to have to be that all-dependent big. He's going to need to go on the inside. He's going to need to go on the outside. He's going to need to charge up his teammates as well. But you look at the Knicks with their core, it's looking really strong. Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns. You're looking at a star-studded lineup at this moment. Not to add on the work of, a Josh Smith, a Josh Hart, for example. You're seeing the Knicks shape into a team that looks ready to win now, essentially. And that's what they're doing. They're going all in. I think that's key to see. Two things I'm going to mention around this deal in relation to Karl-Anthony Towns, and we'll move into the contract situation. The win now element has to be strong. We look at Karl-Anthony Towns' contract. He's earning a crazy amount of money. 49 million for this year, which is going to rise to 53 million, then 57 million, then 61 million, which is a player deal, which puts the New York Knicks, with Jalen Brunson's deal where he took a discount, with Mikal Bridges' deal, you're locked in. This is your team. With OG's deal as well, this is your team. You're locked in. This is what you're going with. And I like what we've got. I definitely like what we've got. Hopefully, Mitchell Robinson's able to come back. Hopefully, we get enough from Precious Achiuwa. But that kind of grit down at the bottom of the depth chart, that grit that is needed with your front court, I think it's going to be pulled into question because we're going to need to see a lot from that power forward position. Is Cat going to play the power forward position? Because that's where he, let's be honest, that's where he really wants to play. Or is he going to shift, play center, be a strong, dominant center, go up against the biggest in the league, the Joel Embiid, the Nicholas Jokic? He's going to have to be strong in that position. And we're going to see if he's going to be able to do it, because if they've got Mitchell Robinson there, you have the flexibility of putting him at the 4. You have the flexibility of using the OG or a Mikal in those wing positions. It gives you so much versatility. And I think the New York Knicks have done all that they can do at this moment to get themselves in a winning position. I think their depth is good. It can potentially be improved. I'm not going to say that their job's done, but they've used their resources very, very wisely. And I think more teams could do that. Now, looking at the other side and looking at Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Julius Randle, we know, has had some injuries over the last couple of seasons. He's got the ability to be a 20-point scorer. Issues again when it comes to the playoffs with both Karl-Anthony Towns and Julius Randle. They are limited in certain areas. For Cat, I believe it's down to his heart and his will to showcase himself to the best of his ability. With Julius Randle, I believe he has that mentality. He may just not have the required skill set, because in playoffs, teams are locking down on what you do best. And Julius Randle has a style of what I would call bully ball. He's a bully ball basketball player. That's not to say he doesn't have the skill, because he definitely has the skill. But his strengths are, I'm going to get you down low, I'm going to get to my left hand, and I'm going to score any way I can. And that repetition is fine in the regular season because, you know, you have less time to prepare for teams. But when you get to the playoffs, it's going to put you in a very difficult position. And so you have to think about what is his mesh and matchup with a Anthony Edwards, because that's who this team is centered around. And I don't think it's really there to a high degree, if I'm being honest with you. I think Julius is going to get his points, as he always does. He's going to have his effects on the box score, yes. But what's the impact on winning? And that's what I think is really going to be called into question. I don't think he's going to be with the Timberwolves for an exceedingly long period. But what Julius Randle gives the Timberwolves in terms of contracts that they didn't have with Karl-Anthony Towns is flexibility. 26 million in the previous year, now going into a 28 million year deal with the Timberwolves, and the last year of his contract will be a 30 million pound player option which he could take. So you've got him for maximum 2 years, yet you've got a player who has a really good output. Not sure about his team mesh as much. I think personality wise he fits what the Timberwolves are doing. Skill set wise I'm less sure. But what you've got is someone who costs nearly half of what you get from Cat, but gives a good production, allows you to get another player of that salary element. Not only do you have that, but you have the ability of acquiring Dante DiVincenzo, who we know signed a new deal with the Knicks in the offseason. And what a deal it is, to be honest with you. A player who's shooting nearly 40% from three-pointers in a year at £11 million per year for the next 3 years. He's going to be a staple in the Timberwolves rotation. I think this is probably one of the biggest gems that they could have gotten from this deal, as well as that first round pick from New York via Detroit. To me, personally, if I was giving grades on a deal like this, yes, the Knicks get the superstar. They've done very, very well in doing that. Have they given out too much? I would say it's fair, because you're getting a player of Cat's talent, but what you also have to know is that the contract that he's on is a very, very difficult one to move if things don't go well. And if he doesn't perform, you're left with an albatross of a contract. So you're pinning your hopes on Cat rising to the standard of that New York grit that's been established over the last couple of years under Tibbs. And you're hoping that he can lead that New York front court to being a dominant one, while Jalen does what he does leading the backcourt. And then you also have the supporting players and elements on the wings, the Josh Harts, the OG Ananobis, Mikal Bridges, giving you that balance. So that's what you're expecting. Cat needs to be dominant. He needs to be dominant for the Knicks to actually have a success in the playoffs and get to where they want to get to. Dante, again, as mentioned, is going to be a star for the Timberwolves. I have no doubt at all. I think they're building a really, really good backcourt, if I'm being honest with you. He's going to give them that shooting that they desperately need and that they lacked at times against Mavs in the conference finals as well. And so with Julius Randle, I think it's going to be up in the air. He's going to get his numbers, as mentioned. He's going to perform. He's going to do what he does. But is the mesh with the team going to be the greatest? I'm not sure. I think there's probably room for him to be moved again. Maybe not this season, but towards the next off season, that's definitely a potential. So for my grades, I'm going to start off with actually Minnesota. Acquiring Dante is a great move on a contract that he's on. Great. You've got Julius Randle, who's going to be serviceable in the same position. Less quality to a degree, yes, but output is still there. And you've got that first round pick via Detroit, which is going to be absolutely massive. I'm going to give Minnesota, for their aims of getting more cap flexibility and getting in quality and getting in that first round pick, I'm going to give them an A-. Yes, Cat is a quality player, but I don't think they were going to get to their goals with him there. And I think there also needs to be eyes on Gobert as well, as the Timberwolves look to probably transition. One had to go. It was either Gobert or Towns, and it's Towns who's moved on. I would go with the Knicks in terms of their scoring. I would say if they didn't give out Dante, this would have been a higher score, but this was clearly someone that Minnesota desperately wanted. So I'm going to give them a score of a B+. Yes, they've got Karl-Anthony Towns, another star-studded player, someone who is going to definitely add a lot of quality to that team. But again, I would have loved to see them keep Dante. Probably impossible with the cap situation, but again, losing a player like that, losing that first round pick, banking on a lot with Cat, as well as his contract being quite high. So, guys, let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Big blockbuster deal in the NBA. Hopefully, big blockbuster deal in the NBA. Make sure to leave your thoughts, your opinions, your grades for both teams, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.